We are live. Welcome, welcome. Today we're interviewing Francesca, a dear friend of mine I've known for, I think, 22 years at this point. It's been a long time. We've known each other for a long time. We've seen a lot of each other over the years from up close and afar. And I've known Francesca since the old days of Burning Man, the old days of tantric teachings and tantric events and play parties. And now, because we've known each other for so long, and I've known her to be someone who's really deeply interested in the teachings around trauma and around attachment theory and nervous system regulation, I felt that it would be very beneficial for our participants to learn a thing or two from her with all the experience that she brings to the table. So welcome, Francesca.
Oh, it's so great to be here, Philippe, and to be bringing our decades of field research and experience in life into a format like this that really lightens the load, clears the road for others.
Yeah, we were just speaking about this just before pressing record, how there's so much trauma out there and there's so many difficulties that people have to deal with in their life that probably the best thing they can do is to integrate some of that trauma or at least develop skills to get a handle on their insecurities in order to live a better life so that they can then turn around and offer that to the people that they love.
You know, in the 5 stages of recovery from trauma, the first stage is the victim stage, where we actually have to realize that there is a problem, like kind of come out of numbness. And the second stage is actually surviving. It's like, okay, now I'm maybe getting some skill sets, but we were talking about this earlier, that there's the kids or there's the work, there's all these things happening. So I'm just kind of surviving. And the next stage, like, we're committed to going beyond surviving. Thank you, all of you who are here, because we're committed to going beyond surviving into thriving. And now we are taking Journey to Secure. Now we are doing therapy or workshops to actually be, have some toolkits that we can integrate. And then the fourth stage is actually serving. It's feeling like we have enough to give back. And then the fifth stage is actually called Empowered Server, where we put our life in service. So I hear you speaking to that journey that we're all on in becoming someone who alchemizes the trauma that we've received into serving greater wholeness on our earth.
Oh, beautifully said, beautifully said. When I first started looking at the Journey to Secure as a journey, I realized there's really actually 2 roads. And one of the roads is the road of awareness. And so, you start by basically being completely unaware, and then you start to realize things like people give you reflections or feedback, or life gives you reflections and feedback. And it basically is showing you that something's going on and you're sort of the common denominator of all of these things. So that the role of awareness is one of developing a greater sense of what's actually happening inside of us that actually causes us to have an experience of the world in the way that it is. Like, we're not responsible for how the world comes at us, but we can definitely become more responsible for ourselves and how we react to what happens around us. So that's the first road. And then as we become more aware, we start to develop skills, because we're like, wow, okay, this just happened. Oh, this just happened again. Oh, this just happened again. I want to do something about that. And we, in conversations with others or in workshops or with teachers and mentors, we gradually develop skills that go along hand in hand with the awareness that we have, so that we can catch ourselves faster, or we can integrate what happened to us faster. And then once we get past that, we can start to offer that back into the world. And actually, in this board game that I've been creating, called the Journey to Secure, once you reach the secure kingdom, you start being able to offer your skills back to the people that are still on the board trying to make it to secure. So there's this sort of implied natural tendency to want to help others and to offer yourself in service as a way of supporting that, from a spiritual standpoint, reducing the suffering in the world.
Yep, that's the journey. And I also think of it as a kind of a labyrinth that we're all walking, where if we take the labyrinth and we put it here, that maybe, and up here are my family issues, and up here are my financial issues, down here are my financial issues, and over here are my sexual issues, and over here are my, relational issues. And, if I'm working on this, I've worked on family, and now I'm working on relationship, and or sexuality, and now I'm working on finances, and now I'm working on, relationship. Oh, wait, I'm back at family again. And that what I notice in my life is that I come around again and again
The
to
spiral.
very similar issues. And I'm moving towards a more and more calm and integrated center. So the work is worth it. I call it, working in versus working out. And sometimes, Philippe, I say at this point, I have 6-pack abs in my, my heart center and in my mind, because I work in so much. And it is, challenging news. It is effort. If we wanted to have 6-pack abs, in the world, we would know we'd have to spend time in the gym.
Yeah.
And if we want to have that, calm mind and generous heart, it also takes working in.
Right. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of martial arts. Yeah, there's forms of martial arts, so maybe movies will remind us of that, where the having this kind of calming presence, so anything can come at you and you can sort of deflect it, kind of Aikido style, like be the flow, be the water, or Jeet Kune Do, I think it is. Anyways, it's really good to have you here, because I know you're bringing so much experience to the table, and to me, this experience and kind of hand in hand with wisdom. Like when we really pay attention to all the things that happen to us and how we react to them, there's just a natural development towards awareness, maturity, security, and wisdom. So that's why you're here, and that's why we love you, and that's why people are going to be so well served by the classes that you're bringing. So, but first, I would love to hear about a little bit more about your story, because the story is really it's really what gives us a sense of you, and this is what these interviews are for. So we get a sense of, can we identify with you, and can we be a little bit like in your shoes for half a minute and get a sense that, it's possible to make it.
Oh, thank you so much, Philippe. And, when I think of my story, I invite people who are watching to think of your story and to try on if there's something in it that resonates for you. And, me personally, I am, an adopted child, and had, an early sense of a physical abandonment. But how many of us have some sense of abandonment or neglect, including not being seen, felt, and heard accurately, which we call attunement? That ideally our parents have enough maturity, they've done enough inner work, they have enough, money or time to attune to their children accurately. But sadly, whether you're adopted or not, often our parents don't have that capacity. Do they love us to the best of their ability? I'm convinced that they do, but that ability is lacking. Its capacity is impacted because of their own personal and multi-generational traumas that they didn't necessarily have the time to work on, or their cultures didn't really support their working on it. So it gets passed down to us epigenetically, and also in how we're being treated in family. So I also had, the being yelled at, the being shamed, the being criticized. I criticize you because I love you. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. You're getting on my last nerve. Go over there and be quiet. So, which can end up going towards sometimes neglect as well, or emotional incest, which can have one of the parents be, let me tell you all my problems. Come here because I need you. You have to be here and be here for me. And also very common. So I had a number of these things growing up, and it was, as many of us are, very sensitive. We feel the energy of this, and it feels misattuning or vampiric. It can feel emotionally abusive. People are lying a lot. How are you fine is a lie in many cases. And we feel the lie very profoundly as children. And this led me to be a compulsive overeater. It also led me to being a sex and love addict. And compulsive overeating looked like trays of brownies, boxes of cookies, eating until it hurt. And then when it stopped physically hurting, eating again. It also led me to I feel so mourning. We say mourning instead of shame. We shift from the toxic shame guilt model in nonviolent communication to mourning and grieving. I feel a mourning or a grieving that in my own pain, I used my relationships with men as a drug to try to take away the pain of being me. I didn't know it at the time. I can forgive myself. And there's a deep mourning that, very precious people were being looked at unconsciously as, how are you going to console me, fix me, have me feel good about myself, make sure I have a sense of sexuality and arousal in my life? And, all of this ended up having me overgive to get love and then never feel loved. So if I'm misrepresenting myself or lying or manipulating to get love, I don't feel the love you give me. And so this was a very, both the food and the sex and love addiction were very damaging cycles for me. And there was a journey eventually where I wanted to kill myself. And I began to look at, it's either death or working on myself. And that's when I went into 12-step to start. And then eventually also, the thousands of hours of personal growth workshops, but also I have a background in BA in psychology. I'm now studying to get my PhD in clinical sexology. Just this hunger for the scientific knowledge and the hunger for how workshops can often give us some more experiential knowledge. I really wanted both. I wanted to understand why the workshops worked. I wanted both sides, and also a very spiritual journey. So I've been a priestess, now initiated in 5 traditions for over 30 years. So there was also wanting that sense of, how do we form right relationship to our desires and our hungers? How do we form right relationship to our emotions and the intensity that we have? How do we form right relationship with source, with spirit, that could be our own personal right relationship that may or may not also connect to any particular religion? And so that's been this field research of life, has been my life work, is my life work. And along the road, started to really understand that I have one body, but inside this body are all these distinct, you could say computer programs, you could say personas or alters or archetypes. I call them aspects, that inside me still is a part of me that's very young. Maybe it's in some of you that wants to know, do you like me? And am I safe? And there's a part of me that is my, teenager that's kind of like, you're not the boss of me, Philippe. You don't get to tell me what to do.
I've seen that one.
And inside me can also be a part that's the primal, that's kind of going, wow, tasty or not tasty, and has very, very quick responses to food, sight, sound, taste, people. And then inside me, and I think inside you too, is that part of us that wants to make a difference, wants to create a more harmonious world, that does want to contribute in whatever way we can. So before I knew this, I could literally be kidnapped by different parts of me from moment to moment. And, it had me very confused and confusing to people that I dated or was even working with, and definitely even confusing in the bedroom, because it could switch from moment to moment based on my triggers. So that has been a very rich journey, probably for the last 20 years or so, really mapping who's on the inside, and then recognizing I didn't have an integrating self. I didn't have a queen of the queendom, king of the kingdom, CEO that could actually talk to all of them and say, your anger is valid, your sadness is valid, your fear is valid, your lust is valid, and let me make some balanced decisions here. And I didn't have an inner nurturer for me. I had, are you okay? Do you need anything? Do you need something to drink? I had that nurture for others, but I didn't have something for me that was checking, am I okay? And a part that could also forgive me and encourage me. I had an inner critic, that was stupid. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. But I didn't have a part that said, you get to make mistakes and I love you. no one knows everything. No one gets everything done in a day. So I would say developing the integrating self, literally writing a program for it, and the nurturer for me, those two programs have absolutely transformed my life and my capacity to feel that sense of self-love as a practice that is integratable, that makes sense, versus self-love as a concept. Like, that's a nice concept. I wish I had me some of that.
It would be nice, yeah.
That'd be nice. How do you do
But
that?
how?
How do you do that? Exactly. And this,
Beautiful.
this relates, I think, to the classes
Yeah,
that I
please.
will be teaching.
Mhm.
Is I not only have studied the neurobiology of trauma and the polyvagal nervous system, and what are they call them titrated practices. You know,
Mm.
in the 70s and 80s and maybe even 90s, we were very convinced that we needed big releases, the screaming, the tantrums, the punching the pillows, that's what we needed. And maybe we need that at first just to get some of what's been built up for a long time out.
Yeah.
On the daily, we can't just be throwing a tantrum, punching a pillow, and screaming. You know, we need smaller, integratable practices. I think that's the word for the day, integratable. Smaller practices that we can use in the boardroom, that we could use on a Zoom, that we could use in any moment, and that are titrating our experiences, like from chemistry, just this little drops that are coming in and changing the solution of our trauma into triumph. So one of the classes is the trauma to triumph, for quantum connection. And that we're really looking at the neurobiology. This is like geek out with our science, the neurobiology of trauma, and these small polyvagal practices. And we'll be practicing them. So we'll be getting some of the scientific context, which I love, and we'll be getting some of the practice of these simple techniques that we can bring in on the daily, in the moment to moment, that really start to support a structural calming of our nervous system. Yay. And then in the Who's Sleeping in Your Head, exploring the inner aspects of empowerment, then we'll be looking at the inner aspects, that richness of who's inside, and slowing down to start spelunking, you know, which is cave diving, cave dwelling, to know who's in there. And we'll be looking at, we'll have some practices with that as well. And then also looking at what are some of the ways that we can work with this inner tribe as we know them. And it's not just about calming down and self-love. There's also fun things about how we connect with others and how we expand our erotic template in the bedroom. I call that inner polyamory.
Beautiful. Wow. That was one of the classes, right? What about the other one?
Yeah, so the one about the inner aspects is the Who's Sleeping in Your Head, exploring inner aspects of empowerment. And then the other one is the trauma to triumph, self-regulation, communicating for quantum connection. And in that one, we'll also be looking at what are some key phrases that really we want to just memorize. When I was learning this, I literally would have like a piece of paper on the wall next to my computer, where when I was conversing with people, I would look for these key phrases, because whatever is our, originating language, to learn to speak the language of empowerment, connection, and kindness is learning a new language. It's learning a new way to work with words. And so we're, instead of, saying, back off, Philippe, you don't get to treat me this way. Stop talking to me like this. Who do you think you are? Instead of saying things like that, we learn to, our polyvagal practices, take a long, deep breath. That starts to rewire the brain out of the sympathetic anger, anxiety, into the ventral vagal, where we can be curious and compassionate and collaborative for the win. And then I can say, wait, Philippe, I want to make sure that I'm hearing you accurately. What I think I hear you saying is, and then I'm in curiosity versus assumption and projection, which are some of my old-timey defense mechanisms. I'm in curiosity. And sometimes when I do that, I realize that I didn't hear you accurately. That like right there, we've now, cut the argument in the bud, so to speak, because I was about to react to my perception of something that you said versus actually reacting to what you were saying or wanting to say. So, that's one of the techniques in interweaving the polyvagal with literally a new way of speaking.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. And you're going to be teaching us about that? Amazing. I seriously want to attend every single class, and it's going to be 13 hours of classes every day. So for those of you who are watching at this point, and in a second, I'll be asking you about your bonus offering. Journey Secure is 5 days, 20 presenters, 35 sessions of 90 minutes to 2 hours. So there's a lot there. So we understand that you may not be able to watch, just like I'm going to do because I'm creating this. You may not be able to watch all the classes. So we're going to record all of them. So if you purchase the full package, you'll be able to watch them later. And we'll even remind you, every week we'll be sending you a link to 2 of the classes so you can at your own leisure and in your own time either review them or watch them for the first time. So, and the teachers will be teaching different techniques or different perspectives or different ways to self-regulate or self-care, and you'll be able to just listen in and get all of these skills more slowly than trying to cram them all in 5 days. So even though this is happening over a period of 5 days, you'll also be able to do it at your own pace. And not only that, I'm just remembering, we're also going to allow people to just come in for just a single day, because sometimes, there's only 1 class or 2 classes that you want to watch on a given day. So you're allowed, and you're going to be able to purchase just a single day pass for all the classes for that given day. So having said that, not only are we bringing you all of these classes, but we also have 8 free offerings. And then Francesca has one of them. So Francesca, would you tell us a little bit about that? It's like a 2-part free offering.
Yeah, I so love this offering for people, and it's just such a luscious offering. Myself and another sister priestess in the arts of sacred sexuality created a teleseminar series. So you can just like listen to it at the car, you can listen to it while you're doing laundry or something else that you're doing. And it's 9 sessions of healing with sacred arrows. So we actually go through, if you're wanting to be somebody who on your server path really contributes through sacred arrows and healing to your own partner or to, professionally in the world, how might you do that? And then the other one is 7 sessions of sex magic. So once again, for those of us who love the idea of having our erotic natures be a prayer, be a blessing, be something that can actually, in the quantum field, start to shift, put our power and our energy to shift things towards outcomes that we want. Sex magic is a great way to do it. And we teach how to do it safely, how to make sure that there's, you're not going to go off the rails in something that is fairly high octane energy when we're bringing sexuality in to our prayers.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm excited for that offering, and also the other offerings that the facilitators are bringing, because that comes free with your attendance to the Journey Seeker for the 5-day only. If you get a day pass, unfortunately, we don't have that for you. But if you get the day pass and you realize that you want to stay for the whole time, or you want to have access to the other classes, just let us know and we'll upgrade you to the full 5-day, and then you'll have access to everything, including the free offerings. All right. So if you've watched this far And because Francesca has already been putting out some discount codes on her promotional post about Journey to Secure. But if you've been watching and you watched this far, we're giving you another discount code that will give you a $50 off discount code. And the discount code is Francesca secret code, one word, all uppercase. So if you enter that, you'll get in to the Journey to Secure for $97, which is ridiculously low for all watching, because of all the value that we're bringing to the table. And then also, because you will have been as part of Journey to Secure, a part of Journey to Secure as a participant, you'll have easier access to our facilitators who will make themselves available for questions or Q&As, and they will have office hours, so you can come in and just say, hey, I have some questions about your class, or I have some questions about this interview that you did, and I would like to work with you, or just find out if it's a good fit. So yeah, thank you, Francesca. Anything else you would like to add?
I just want to appreciate you so much, Philippe, for doing this and really helping all of us. I'm excited about, watching the classes and being part of them as well. It's just such a fabulous opportunity to kind of leapfrog quicker in our own journey to secure. And that's where the beauty of life really exists. So I just am appreciating you so much right now.
Thank you so much. It's a lot of steps to become secure, and it's a lot of steps to work on ourselves and to do the work in, as you mentioned. So we hope you're going to be joining us for at least a few of these steps, and maybe that'll be the moment that will jumpstart your life into a higher gear. All right. Thank you so much.